Whoa, what the heck?
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone?
Oh, not the memory zone.
I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Really? Do we have to go back to the memory zone? Remember when Stanley found the collectibles? Oh, remember that? Do you guys remember that? Remember how great the memory zone was? Let's remember how great the memory zone was, and let's remember that time we collected all the figurines. Good times.
Here's where it all began.
Yeah.
The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
We just got 7 out of 6 now. Yeah.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
Ooh, was it the boss of the warehouse first? I think it was the boss's office.
Hey! That's exactly right. It was here, behind the boss's office. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
That's true. That's just straight up science.
Let's see. What came next? Oh, yes, we found a Figley in this pink room.
No.
Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room,
No.
but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
No, no. What? Don't quite remember falling into superliminal for a while.
This was the 5th mini-Stan, and this one was really something special. It was by the red and blue doors. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Oh my god. Oh my god, it's in fucking Windows Movie Maker. Holy crap. I remember fucking making shit on this all the time. The music. Dude, I made so many home videos on Windows Movie Maker. Oh my god. I even did this once before with the credits where it's all just me.
Takes you back, doesn't it?
Jesus
I spent
Christ.
a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Oh my god, I feel like I just got teleported back to myself making home videos of my friends. I used to be the one that edited them all and shit, and oh my god, that was, well, that was interesting. Huh. Okay. All right. That was okay. Okay. I feel like I just got teleported through time there. That was incredible. That might be my favorite part of this whole game. I remembered remembering inside of remembering.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine. Right here, under the stairs. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others.
Yeah.
Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other, except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
So people who play that and were like, what is this shit video? Oh, no, 100%. If you didn't experience Windows Movie Maker, you'd be like, what the fuck? You are in the present.
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
I like how you're in the past inside of this video. That's pretty great. Fuck it. Oh my god, it's the third. This is important to the story, remember? It's very important to the story.
Okay, yes, that spot under the stairs. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
Oh no.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
I'm not gonna say that's when YouTube was good. That's when YouTube sucked. I don't have that much fucking blind nostalgia for old YouTube.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
All that was on YouTube then was just fucking AMVs of Naruto. Crap, with Linkin Park playing over them.
You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
With Dragon Ball Z. Well, that song Bodies Hit the Floor with Dragon Ball Z in the background. Well, that song One. Nothing wrong with me. Nothing wrong with me. Free. Nothing wrong with me. Four. Nothing wrong with me. Five. It's got to give. We didn't actually go into the warehouse, I just realized.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. Okay. What else is there? What came before this?
Oh god, okay. Back here again. Oh, shit. Oh, the jump circle. Oh, I'm so sad
Look,
he's
it's
up on
the
my jump.
terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different.
It's the original.
I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory
It's amazing
zone,
how things that
how
aren't
about
related to
one
you,
more good
your brain
memory?
ties them
Let's
to being
go
related
back
to you.
just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much.
It's amazing how you can do that.
Here we go.
It's like tying that
is
to
the
me there.
story of a man named
Tell myself
Stanley.
that lately.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
It's good times.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Got the feeling money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. So that's a lovely purse. What's this? I don't remember this one.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
I knew it was some
Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it
some
the bucket
combination of
all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
I deliberately wasn't looking at chat there because I was just going to see if I could remember it myself.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I haven't gone down here yet with the bucket.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Oh, yeah. I remember this one.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator.
I forgot about this.
As Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest.
What about Stanley?
It was a glorious bucket to behold.
You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the life of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were in ignorance and darkness? I do vaguely remember this.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Photograph of 25 buckets. That's definitely more than 25 buckets. The greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of this euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains, no one can control a bucket. A bucket with two handles. This bucket is depicted as having two handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. I do remember the Vitruvian bucket. The Vitruvian bucket's a work of art. What was the quote on it? Learning is not... Wait, where did you get the learning is not a bucket thing? Man, they're getting a lot out of this bucket. Like... Ah, yes, of course, the great caveman buckets. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasure. The stress bucket, an analogy. Worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance. Vulnerability equals size and strength of the bucket. Coping strategies equals holes. Rest and relaxation, doing something you enjoy. Stress equals the level of water in the bucket. Presented without commentary. Okay.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance inevitably is for our own good.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.